Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by two very special guests, everyone's favorite human being, Josh Thomas from TheBitBlock,
hey!
and Dan from Nintendo World Report, Go Nintendo, and last but not least, his YouTube channel, also being Nintendaan. And we're going to discuss everything related to Mario Kart 8. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so all our reviews are now up for Mario Kart 8, and we all have like a slightly different take on this game, I think. So I just thought we'd open up with, our quick impressions from the game. Basically a short summary of our reviews. Let's go start with you, Josh. What was your overall take about Mario Kart 8?
So I think it's a really, really good game. The core racing, in my opinion, is better than ever before. I think the levels are brilliantly designed. It looks gorgeous. I think it's like one of Nintendo's prettiest games. I love the music. I feel it's lacking a little bit in replay value because you really can't explore outside of racing. You know, the battle mode, in my opinion, is really not good at all. And it's like no mission mode. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a really solid game. And I think it's incredibly exciting to race in this game. So I really enjoy it.
It is definitely exciting. And how about you, Dan?
So I feel that I'm the most critical of everybody in the bunch. I think I'm one of the lowest reviews too. I gave it a 7.5, and my overall thoughts on it. Yes, how terrible. I love the track design, love the presentation, but there are some things that I found not really well done, and it mostly concerns two things. To do major big ones for me were like the weird decisions with the battle mode, and that the unlocks in the GP mode were just happening after one another. They were not spread out anymore, which was it made me very uninterested in playing all of those cups through and through.
The unlockable system is kind of weird. It's never been great in Mario Kart. So for me, yeah, I actually really liked this game. You know, I've said I like it a lot on our new review scale. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I actually disagree that the core racing is the best it's ever been. That still goes to Double Dash, in my opinion.
Oh.
Without question, even. It's not even a question for me to think about.
Wow.
But beyond that, like it's to me best Mario Kart game in the last several. I like it far better than 7. I think that, the stages are better. The game's beautiful. It sounds great. And it all just feels really good. But I did have some issues with the new item balance. And a few of the nitpicks here and there. Like, I'm still not a huge fan of the of how the item part selection thing works. I feel like it's just too complicated for Mario Kart, especially because it doesn't save any of your options. So you have to re-enter it every time. It's just kind of a pain. All right, so that's all of our summaries of our reviews. So let's go ahead and dive into some specific topics here. And let's start off with actually the characters and by extension the unlockables. Because you start off with, I think, something like, 12 to 15 characters, and then you unlock the rest throughout the game.
Right.
But part of the problem for a lot of people is that they don't think the characters are very good. So I know, Dan, you just said that you thought the unlockables in general weren't great. So what do you think about the roster here?
Well, can I say only one character? Baby Rosalina. She shouldn't exist. Logically, she shouldn't exist.
You're saying a baby should not exist. This is offensive.
No, Baby Rosalina in the context of the Mario Galaxy game should not exist.
Yeah,
and somehow she does.
Yeah.
Well, are you saying she was never a baby at some point?
No, but not baby. But not baby with the whole crown and stuff.
Right.
It all feels super weird. But beyond that, Pink Gold Peach is another great one.
You think she's great?
Yeah. No, not at all. I was being sarcastic, Josh. It's all good.
I see.
Don't worry.
It was very subtle, very subtle.
But at the beginning, one problem I had is that we got all the Koopa Kids in a row, and I would have liked them spread it out a little more. But I actually like playing as them way more than those two characters in particular.
Do you mean you unlocked all the Koopa Kids one after another, or...?
Yeah, I unlocked them all after another.
I think that's actually random.
Yeah, for me too.
Yeah, so my Koopalings are spread more evenly.
So I just had bad luck, okay.
Yeah, you just had terrible luck.
My first unlockable character was Toadette, as I recall.
Your favorite, right?
I'm not down on Toadette.
But yeah, for me, what happened is that I got every Koopa Kid in a row, and then just the other characters.
So for me, the roster is kind of whatever. It's not great. As I've mentioned before, like, you basically have, I think it can be sorted into 4 groups. You have your core Mario cast, which appears in every game. You've got your babies, you've got your Koopalings, and then you have your random-ass metal characters. Especially with, Peach now, or whatever. I forget the order of those.
Pink Gold Peach.
Yeah, Pink Gold Peach. Yeah, I can't even keep that name straight.
Me either.
Yeah, but with that said, like, while the character roster isn't great, I'm also the feeling like I don't really care, like, the rest of the game is I enjoy the rest of the game just fine, and the characters, it would be better, have a better selection. Like, Mario Kart Wii had a better selection, but, by the same token, it's like there's enough there. Like, the core roster is really all you need, for me at least, and, now that I've got that, as long as the rest of the game is good, I'm totally fine.
See, I disagree.
For me, the problem with the roster is that 80% of the time, I only use like the 4 standard babies, like Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, and Baby Daisy. Because I like the feeling in combination with some of the cards with them. So for me, the rest of the characters I almost never barely use.
So wait a minute. You actually like the babies, but even you hate Baby Rosalina.
Yeah.
So even fans of the babies are disgusted by Baby Rosalina.
Indeed.
I've heard a lot of people take that stance. Like even Kyle Bossman over on Game Trollers. I don't know if you guys have watched his videos. He basically made an entire one just ragging on Baby Rosalina, how she's not canon, she has no reason to be in this game. And while I agree, like, I also don't care. Like, I respect that, but it's Mario Kart. Like, none of it really makes any sense. And I don't mind.
But nothing of the characters, like the special characters like Baby Rosalina or Pink Gold Peach, feel that special in comparison to Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, they all just kind of feel tacked on. The Mario Kart Wii, like, you had Funky Kong, and if, some other characters I can't remember. It had a huge
very
cast.
Memorable cast that you can't remember.
That kind of goes to my point. Like, I don't care. You've got your Mario, you've got your Toad. That's all you need.
See, I'm the opposite of that. I actually really get excited about secret unlockable characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, especially because, it's Mario. My gosh, there's so many characters they could put in this game.
No, but not. They put all the main ones in the game
Yeah,
already.
I'm bored of Mario and Luigi and Peach. If Mario wasn't in this game, I'd be okay with that, as long as it was somebody cooler.
Like, who would you want to see? Who were you hoping would be in this game?
Nabbit, for one.
Come on, Nabbit's coming as DLC.
Well, we don't know that for sure. If it happens,
We don't know for sure, but...
Well, and the other thing is, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Pink Gold Peach is there because they wanted a heavy female character. But they could have added, like, Pauline and just said, oh, she's heavy. Or Birdo.
Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't Rosalina a heavy female character?
She was heavy in Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah, is she heavy here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think she is, yeah.
Luckily, I did some planning ahead, and I have a GamePad right here. Yeah, Rosalina's heavy.
So I guess we wanted maybe another one, perhaps.
Yeah, but there are so many other female characters that could have been considered heavy. Birdo.
Oh, there you go, Birdo, actually. And well, the weird thing with Birdo is that there's even that poster in the game, talking about the women of, the women racers from Mario Kart. And you've got Peach on there, Toadette, several others. And then it shows Birdo, and she's not in the game at all otherwise.
Maybe it's a hint. Maybe it's a hint of DLC.
That's what I was thinking too. So we got 2 confirmed characters now, Nabbit and Birdo.
We don't have Diddy for some reason.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah,
Bowser Jr. is not there in there.
Bowser Jr.
Okay
I can
with
understand because there are already so many Koopalings, and he's...
Right. And he's kind of a terrible character.
Oh, what did you just say? He's my go-to man. Oh, that's it.
Man. Okay, so that's enough about the characters.
Right.
Clearly, they could have done a better job. Let's move on to perhaps the most important thing about the game overall, being the core racing. And I know, Josh, you mentioned how you think it's the best in the series.
Yeah.
So, so what did you think about how the game actually felt?
Well, first of all, actually, and some people might know this, I love Double Dash, and up until now, Double Dash was always my favorite. And it still kind of is, but maybe it's tied with Mario Kart 8 in a way. I think it all feels really smooth.
Backpedaling already, huh?
I think it all feels really smooth. I use the Wii Wheel, and I think the Wii Wheel controls are even a little bit better than they were on the Wii. And just like, there's just always so much going on, I think, in a race. You have portions where you can go underwater, and you can glide in the air, and also the gravity, which causes kind of multiple pathways to open up. So I feel like the levels are just, you never really know what's going to come next in the gameplay, and it's always interesting, and I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Josh there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know if you guys had the same feeling. For Mario Kart 7, I actually, I really did like that game, but I didn't think it worked that well in every regard. Like, the hang gliding and the underwater just kind of felt like these kind of random additions. Like, it just felt like they were there just to mix things up. I never felt they were
Right,
particularly
yeah.
compelling. So with Mario Kart 8, I found that the anti-gravity actually worked really well in tying it all together. Like, it all just works so much better now, I feel like.
Yeah, it connects them. It's like a glue.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Yeah, it just works so much better. Like, it just allows for these really diverse levels now, especially with how they mix and match the various elements. Like, you'll have, like, anti-gravity underwater sections, or you'll have, an anti-gravity section that leads into a flying section, among, many other different possibilities.
Those sideways sections are also pretty cool. My particular favorite is Toad's Turnpike from N64.
Oh, I love that track. Like, I loved what they did with it. I've always been a fan of Toad's Turnpike. I think I might be in the minority on that one.
No, I like that track too.
Alright, yeah. So, and I love what they've done here with it. Like, being able to take to the air to go over the traffic or go to the walls. And in fact, I would say, racing up the walls actually feels a little bit better in a sense than like when the track like inverts completely or something.
Right,
Because
yeah.
the camera, instead of the camera following you completely, it just tilts a little bit. So you really do feel like you're experiencing anti-gravity.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you're going like upside down or whatever, like it's almost too subtle. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're watching the background, you almost don't even notice they're going into anti-gravity, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, I totally understand. I thought it took a little bit of getting used to when you drive up on a wall. Like, I'd always turn too much or too little. So it did take me a few tries to really understand how to control the cart or the bike when you're up a wall, as opposed to the gravity, which is just like, it doesn't really feel any different.
I will say the adding the mechanic to that allows you to spin when you hit someone and it gives you a speed boost, like really does switch it up quite a bit. Otherwise, definitely makes you think about it in a little bit of a different way, which I really do like. But of course, the anti-gravity probably is best in just how it allowed them to go all out with the level designs. Like going up and down waterfalls, or having parts of the track layer completely on top of each other, and other things like that.
You really like Shy Guy Falls.
Dude, Shy Guy Falls, man, that's my go-to, dude. Every time.
Which is weird to me though, because I feel like I've beaten you in that course.
I don't know what you're referring to. They're talking about at best a theoretical future event. Now, as part of the core gameplay, they introduced several new items, like the Super Horn, the Prom Plant, the Boomerang, and the Crazy 8. Although the Crazy 8's like barely a new item.
Yeah, that's not really new.
What did you guys think of the new items here?
The thing is with the Super Horn, I like it in concept, but it barely comes up.
Yeah, I found like it barely matters for two reasons. One, it barely comes up. Two, blue shells barely come up too now. Like, they're actually pretty rare.
Well, wait, here, hold on a second. What do you guys usually set the items at, though? Just normal?
I've been playing online, so it's been normal. Yeah.
For me, it has been a split between frantic mode and normal mode.
Okay, because I play on frantic usually, and I get the horn quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think they consider that and the blue shell to be frantic items, right?
Probably, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think the items are really good. The Crazy 8 is sort of, I mean, like you guys said, not really new, and it's just 8 items.
Right.
And it also kind of screws you over sometimes. Like, people will run into a bomb when you have it, and then it's kind of worthless.
Yeah. I honestly, for me, the Crazy 8 is probably my least favorite item. I just find like it's a pain to keep track of. Like, you have to time it right with the items orbiting around you. Yeah, you want to make sure no one's grabbing your stuff or running into the bomb and screwing you over too. Like, I just like activate everything as fast as possible now, just getting rid of it.
Yeah, I do the exact same.
You guys panic, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I forget the name. I always call it the Great 8.
The Great 8?
Yeah.
Should just be great.
The Great. There you go.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a missed opportunity.
It is. But yeah, I get the Super Horn kind of frequently when you play in frantic mode.
As a standalone item too, it doesn't have a great range either.
Well, no, it doesn't. Here's a weird thing with it, right? Yeah, the range isn't great, but it takes no skill at all in order to take down a blue shell. Like, if you have it and a blue shell's coming in, like, it's the easiest thing in the world to get rid of it now. Like, I feel like it should have been a little bit more strategic, almost. Maybe with a shorter range, but then that would screw it up in other senses. For me, I actually found, like, in first place, I'd rather have a green shell or banana. Like, seriously.
Why is
because
that?
Because here's the thing, you can't drag the Super Horn behind you. So you can't use it to block anything really effectively but red shells, maybe, and blue shells. Because those are the only things you get indicators with. So if there's like a green shell or a boomerang coming your way, you're sitting duck. There's nothing you can do. Whereas, with a green shell or a banana, you can drag that behind you and you don't have to worry about those incoming projectiles.
You really like dragging items behind you, I've learned.
It's crucial. If you want to stand first, that's necessary. It is, and you need it.
Then how is Double Dash your favorite Mario Kart?
No, because, okay, that is why Double Dash is my favorite Mario Kart. Because you can't do that, and it actually relies on skill. So you actually have to time using your items properly.
But why don't you play Mario Kart 8 that way, then?
Because I'd be dumb. I play to win. I don't play to be fair to all my opponents.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know that.
Well, Josh, you blue shelled me, and then directly afterwards, did it with a piranha plant. So I don't know what you're.
Well, I mean, that's
about.
just skill right there. That's pro playing. You should have had a super horn.
There you go. It's all your fault, Dan. So real quick, what do you guys think about the other two new items, being the piranha plant and the boomerang?
I love the piranha plant. It's also great for having some, for pushing you just slightly forward, and then at the end of it, just when the timer runs out, just hitting one enemy. The boomerang I found interesting, but I had a hard time getting a good grip on it.
Well, I kind of agree with you. The boomerang is actually surprisingly tricky to use. Effectively at least, but once you get good with it, it's a pretty powerful weapon.
The thing about the boomerang that I found interesting, I originally thought that it would be like a shell when you toss it and it would just go straight forward, but the boomerang seems to know what the path of the road is.
Yeah, it kind of like it kind of follows a path, and it'll also like bounce off of things too.
Yeah,
like you can almost I've equated it to like Captain America's shield, where like you can throw it, it'll bounce off enemies and come back to you.
To be honest with you, I like all the new items, and I think that there's a lot of intricacy in their design, and the more you play around with them, the more you start to learn them and find exploits and how to use them better. Like for the piranha plant, you can just use that and take it at face value, and it's like, oh, it chomps at people, and it'll randomly chomp to give me a boost. But then when you realize, oh, it's also going to chomp at items that are on the road, or it'll chomp at coins, so you'll want to like swerve over to get them so that you're getting even more boosts than you normally would.
Well, there's a definite skill to it too, because you can even, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can activate the piranha plant manually too with the item button. So you can have it just chomp whenever you want. But by doing that, it can, because if it's actively chomping something, it can't defend you.
Right.
So it kind of works against you in that sense. Yeah. So it is kind of a skill-based weapon, and that you want to time it right so it can defend you, as opposed to just using it for speed boost and it can't do anything.
Also, going back just a little bit, the super horn. I don't know if people might not know this. You don't have to use it just for the blue shell. It's like if you have a big pit of racers around you, you can use it and you can take out like 4 or 5 people at once.
Right.
So it does have some cool things about it that you wouldn't be able to do with like a shell or something.
But like I said, that range is not great, so those racers need to be very close to you.
Well, stop being so far in first when you're playing me and stay with the pack. See? These are your problems.
So basically, Josh's solution is just to play worse.
Play worse and it'll end up better. Josh Thomas way.
So what do you guys think about the overall item balance? Because they've definitely tweaked, as I mentioned, the blue shell, at least in my experience, is much rarer than it's ever been before. Like, I've gone entire Grand Prix, never seeing it appear once. I think I could count on one hand how many times I've seen it appear in more than a single race, more than once. Then they've tweaked other items. Like, for instance, you now have coins as an item, like you did in the original Mario Kart. But those pop up a lot in first place, which I actually found to be annoying. Like, the item balance overall I found to be really good, with the exception of getting coins like half the time in first place, which you can't do anything with, especially if you're maxed out at 10. But I want to get your guys' thoughts about how how the items are balanced this time.
I pretty much agree with you there. I don't have anything to add really, except those coins are really annoying, and a few of the items could have been a bit better in some regards, but overall it feels pretty solid.
Andre, I want you to start playing in frantic mode, and I want you to tell me how different that feels with the items to you.
I think Andre and I played in frantic mode when we played against one another.
Yeah, we did a couple races. Yeah.
See, because the coins don't pop up that often to me. Like, I can't, like, in first place, you can get a lot of stuff in frantic mode that isn't a coin. I got a gold mushroom in second place in frantic mode once. It's actually in the review. Everybody's pointing that out. Like, what?
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I think in first place, when we had that 4 cup of races, I think I got in first place the triple bananas. Yeah. So it becomes more random there, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have no doubt that would solve the coin problem, but then to me that would introduce a whole host of new issues.
You're too finicky.
Just making it way more random. I like some random elements of my games. I love Mario Kart, as a whole. but you know, like I feel like the item balance is pretty good this time around. The coin thing annoyed me, and if someone got a gold mushroom in second place and passed me with it, I would be livid.
I can't wait till it happens when I'm playing you.
Oh man. Okay, so let's go ahead and I think we covered it pretty well for items. So now beyond the core racing mechanics, perhaps the second most important thing in any racing game, at least for me, are the stages. So what did you guys think about the stage selection overall in this game?
I really enjoyed those tracks. Like I said at the beginning, I think the selection they've chosen for the new ones is utterly amazing. I think the Star Cup has the best lineup ever. The retro tracks, a few I was a bit about, but overall they revamped them so much to the point where I just enjoy racing on them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this is the best course design in Mario Kart history. I genuinely don't think that even like all 32 tracks, I think maybe 2 of them I think are and I think you would agree with me, Andre.
Which 2?
Rainbow Road, the new Rainbow Road, and also Music Park.
Yep, we're in complete agreement there then.
I actually like the new Rainbow.
Really? What do you like about it?
I like all the sharp turns and twists you have to do with the drifting. I really like drifting a lot in my Mario Kart games.
No, I like drifting too. I didn't find the level to be a challenge at all. Like, it's to me by far the easiest Rainbow Road. With maybe...
Oh, no, I completely agree with you there, but it doesn't mean I don't like it.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess for me, I think part of it was an expectations thing. You know, especially, as I mentioned in the review, like in a game where anti-gravity is a central mechanic, you have a level that takes place in outer space, and you barely make a track that barely uses it. I mean, although they have it in there, like, it doesn't take advantage of what it can do.
You don't notice that you're in anti-gravity mode in Rainbow Road.
You don't! Yeah, not at all. I mean, to me, the true Rainbow Road of the game is Rainbow Road 64.
I think Nintendo agrees with you.
Oh, that's definitely the better one.
Nintendo might agree with you on that, because that's the one they chose to promote in their trailers.
Oh, and I guess another issue, too, getting back to, the original Rainbow Road, or the new one, is that the developers beforehand had said, like, we're doing something kind of crazy with this. That's a paraphrase, I'll forget their exact words. But basically, they were saying they were doing stuff that they hadn't done before the Rainbow Road. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't see it.
They made it lackluster, that's the new thing.
I personally really like the setting of that new Rainbow Road.
The setting's cool. I will give it that. I do like the setting. I'm not sure if I completely like the execution of how they did it, but the setting is novel.
It's a short Rainbow Road. I will
What
give
is
you
the
that.
setting?
Yeah.
A space station?
Yeah.
I don't even really get that. It's not very rainbowy either. That's one of my annoyances. Like, it's very dull rainbow look.
Have you not looked at the track map on the GamePad, which clearly shows it being a
There
rainbow
you go. That's
color?
where they made up for it. They do that for the N64 one too, though. So.
But that makes an interesting point, because I'm more interested what our favorite tracks are.
Yeah, actually, you beat me to it. Yeah, so for me, I would say my favorite tracks. God, this is always hard to me. Shy Guy Falls, of course, has to be on there. I just think it's a fantastic course, like such a unique level design. Going up and down waterfalls and going to the hang gliding section, just love the whole thing. And they got the chanting Shy Guys. It's great. And then also like Sunshine Airport and Dolphin Shoals a lot.
Sunshine Airport is definitely a favorite of mine. My absolute favorite though is Electrodrome.
That one's pretty good.
That's my absolute favorite from the game. As far as retro tracks go, Rainbow Road is number first, and then second is Sherbet Land from GameCube. I just really like the atmosphere, what they have done with the GameCube track and added on the router sections. It's really good.
Oh, definitely. They made it like nighttime in Sherbet Land.
They did.
Yeah, and the fireworks and everything. It's really lovely.
And then my favorites is, it's kind of like Andre said, it's really hard to pick because I genuinely think all of them are my favorite. But anytime there's like a tropical setting, I usually really love that track. Like Water Park is really cool. I really like. I like Dolphin Shoals. I think that might be one of the trickiest tracks in the entire game.
It is, especially getting like those speed boosts or the stunts on the back of the eel.
And it's really clever. Like you're driving on the back of an eel. I mean, it's crazy, and a lot of it's underwater.
What I love about the track is the section where you just hop out of the water and then the music starts playing with all the instruments. It's amazing.
I always look behind me after I jump off that ramp because you can see that you're actually like driving through a cyclone of water.
Right.
Oh, dude, I've loved just going around the tracks like in time trials, just like soaking in the details. Like there is so much to this. And the weird thing is, like, the camera angle in the game, I mean, it works great for when you're playing the game, but it's actually pretty limited in what you can see. And it's amazing how much detail they put into these tracks. So you really have to go out of your way to actually be able to enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't see them otherwise.
I adore that. I adore that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just for like 5 minutes. I was looking at the city below at Rainbow Road 64.
Oh yeah,
just for no reason whatsoever.
Oh yeah, like how there's cars
There's a
going
subway
around
train.
and like trains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, man, dude, I swear, that Rainbow Road is so much better than the actual Rainbow Road.
I also like the retro one, Cheap Cheap Beach from the DS. I think that one's gorgeous and it's really fun to play in.
They actually did improve the track a lot since the DS one. And actually, that's something that I found, like, throughout this game. Like, the retro track selection is just so good. And, for the most part. And they did such a great job, like, updating most of them to take advantage of the new mechanics. Like, the new Dry Desert, I think, is awesome. Like, how they added the Oasis. Is a really neat touch. Although I miss that they got rid of the tornado.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot
The
that.
tornado was awesome. I mean, it's easy to forget because the track is gorgeous now. But and then like Rainbow Road Royal Raceway, they added the flying section now, where you actually fly to Peach's Castle. Although they got rid of being able to go to Peach's Castle itself, which still irks me.
TikTok Clock is another one I really liked.
That's like a totally new course too. It's amazing.
It is. Like, you can't even recognize some of these courses, and that one, like, because the original TikTok Clock looked like a Mario 64 course, which was fitting, but now you don't even get hints of that anymore. It's like, it really is like a whole new course.
It's funny because when I was playing like Mario Kart Wii, for example, they had the 16 retro tracks. I would never really necessarily want to play the retro tracks because they were much less interesting than what was available like as new tracks. But here in Mario Kart 8, I seriously feel like most of the retro tracks are just as good as the new ones.
Now that you mention it, I would almost go so far as to say that I actually, on the whole, like the retro tracks better than the new ones.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I'm not saying all of them, but, I think overall, I do think I prefer the retro tracks.
For me, it's kind of a 50-50 split. I like half of the new tracks the most and half of the retro tracks the most. It's a bit of a tricky one here.
Literally, because you can do tricks in them. So one thing all these tracks have in common is just that, to me, I think we all agree here, is that they're gorgeous. Like, the game runs super smooth, at least 1 and 2 players, even online. And the detail here is just like through the roof. Like, getting back to how much I love Moo Moo Meadows. As I pointed out in our review, like, you can see like these dust clouds like rolling across the course. You can see like leaves caught up in it. Like, it just looks awesome. And there's like it's still weird to me to call a Mario Kart game gorgeous. Not that they've ever really been ugly games, although Mario Kart Wii kind of bordered on that at points. But this game legitimately is like top tier in Wii U games visually.
Up until Mario Kart 8, I would say the prettiest Wii U game that I had ever played was Pikmin 3. And now I kind of feel like Mario Kart 8 is tied with Pikmin 3 as the prettiest, most advanced Wii U game.
No, I think Mario Kart 8 is the prettiest Wii U game.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Pikmin 3 it was a really good looking game, but like the amount of detail here is something I haven't seen in a Nintendo game before. Like how your tires get, pick up mud and then get washed off when you go through the water, and how your characters even, they stay wet for a few seconds after emerging from the water and then dry off.
Well, listen, Pikmin got wet in Pikmin 3 too.
Did they stay wet though?
Yeah, on a
afterward?
rainy day and stuff. They're all wet.
All right, I'll give you that. But it didn't have dust clouds in the Moo Moo Farm.
Listen, does Mario Kart 8 have a big monster that you fight in the mud? No.
It's got a Bowser Colossus.
Well, Pikmin 3 doesn't have amazing ground textures,
That's
though.
true.
Yeah, I guess the presentation overall for this game, I just thought they did a great job. The music, the graphics, all good. I think we all agree there. But I know one thing we don't agree on.
What's that?
Battle mode. So for me personally, like when I played on Nintendo, it actually made a really good impression at the preview event, because it went back to the rules of the original, or the closest they've been to the rules of the original in several Mario Karts now, where once you lost your balloons, you were out. I like that. The problem though is that they're using stages from the game as opposed to making custom stages for battle mode. And at first, when I finally got the review copy and played a bunch of it, I didn't like it. I did not like it at all. I felt like they were too big. You couldn't turn around. Like if an opponent passed you, it took you the Austin Powers away. To turn around and chase after them. But by that point, they're already halfway around the course. You can't get to them. But after playing it more, I actually had some fun with it. I'm not saying it's great, but once you learned about the quick turn and how to take advantage of other elements of it, I actually liked it.
Here's the thing. I like battle mode. I don't hate it at all, but to be really honest with you, I just want the arenas. This is not the way I really like to play battle mode, because I like to have its own like little thing. like separate from the Grand Prix. The thing is, I played a bunch of it and I really analyzed it, what I thought of it, and I was just really mad about it. It was like, I liked the previous battle modes and also having the 2 separate modes in there, because here it's just battle mode.
Right.
So it was nothing really for me to differentiate on. I was like, after a while, I felt, yeah, I'm done with this. I just go about my races, and that's a bit disappointing for me, because up to that point, I've been always more invested in battle mode. The only reason why I still continue to play Mario Kart 7 was for battle mode.
I think me and Dan are kind of on the same page in a way. For me, I've always looked at Mario Kart's battle mode as being like an important part of the experience, because it makes you enjoy the racing more because there's something else to do that's fun to play. But if you're only really stuck with racing, it just kind of gets depressing a bit. I don't really see any possible reason to justify there not being any actual arenas other than time restraints. Like, even if this was an idea they wanted to try, which I don't believe, why not also include some actual battle maps alongside the racetracks?
Right, yeah.
I mean, I'm in complete agreement there. I don't understand why they couldn't do that. Especially, they already had courses designed with 12 players in mind from Mario Kart Wii. Why not just update those, and bring them in this game? I think that would have worked just fine.
Well, the funny thing is, though, I actually have issues outside of there just not being arenas in it. I think the rules just don't work very well, and Andre, I was very happy to use you as an example of that when I reviewed it. Me and you were playing, Andre, and it was online, and we were playing with another guy that we found, and I was about to throw a shell at this other guy, and Andre, you were eliminated, by the way. So anyways, I was about to throw the shell to, hit the other guy, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I lost, and the game was over. I had no way of stopping that. It was because you were invisible, and you were right in front of me with a shell, and you threw it right at me, point blank, and it ended the game. So, the rules, what I definitely see happening, and I've already seen it happen, is the ghost players are going to be the reason that a match will end, because eventually they're going to outnumber the players that are active, and they're just going to take out the active players because we have no way of seeing them. So that's just kind of really, I think, poorly thought out, and it's just disappointing that, I think even the rules aren't quite there.
As I mentioned in my review, my enjoyment of the game was highly situational, and that was dependent on playing with people I knew, having the GamePad there, because you really need that map. I don't know if you guys used the map much. I found it to be essential. So even playing battle mode on the same TV, it sucks for everyone else who doesn't have a gamepad unless it's set up in a central location, because they don't know where everyone else is. Although you can screen look then, so it is better than if you're playing online against someone who's only using a Wii remote and can't see at all where other people are. So that's a weird thing for me. It's highly situational, and when I got the situation right, I liked it. But yeah, there are some pretty big flaws. I haven't done a whole 12-player battle mode match yet with people online.
I played a few of them with I think it was 8 or 9 people, and that's when I really started to notice, oh geez, these rules are kind of not the best.
That's why for me, it worked on a smaller scale. I actually like playing. When you and me, Josh, you and I were playing. For those videos, I legitimately had a good time with it.
Right, me too. But I think one of the reasons for that is there was no ghost players when you and I were playing.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good point.
When one of us was eliminated, the match was over.
And I like that. Although I haven't minded the ghost players too much when I have encountered them, because once you realize that they can only get, I think it's bananas and green shells.
Oh, they can get bombs too.
Oh, can they get bombs too? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still they're not getting red shells though, or stars or anything. Yeah, I don't know. I feel again, it depends how many players you're playing with, I feel like. When I was playing in just a few player matches, they weren't that big of a deal.
To be fair, I think playing locally with friends would not really have the issue of invisible players, because you'd be able to look at what your friends were doing.
Yeah, and see where they are.
So you would still be able to see them. I just don't really see, invisible players just seems like a bad idea.
That is kind of the weird thing. I'm not sure why they did that. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because a lot of people hated the way Mario Kart Wii's battle was, and they wanted it to be elimination. But Nintendo realizes, well, you can't have somebody totally eliminated, because where are they going to go? They're just going to sit and watch? Everybody's going to disconnect if they have to sit and watch a match on, who's going to want that? It's, for me it's weird, because I think, in many ways, Mario Kart's battle has to evolve past the idea of eliminating people. See, I'm okay with the idea of, when you lose 3 balloons, you're going to get 3 balloons back, but you're going to be punished by having 3 points deducted from your score.
I will be really honest with you guys. I actually really like the Wii.
Same with me, yeah.
But it's for me, going to this one, it seems like I generally like playing. If I do play this battle mode, I usually only play on Toad Harbor for some reason.
That's a good one, yeah.
Because because that actually makes the most sense as a battle track.
I agree.
But like most of the others, like again, Moo Meadows, as much as you like it, Andre, you can't disagree that it's not a great idea for a battle track.
It's weird. I was actually going to use that as an example of my preferred battle track. I actually quite liked it, and I used Josh can attest to his bombing run in one of our matches, which was amazing, I thought.
I ramped off the glider thing, and Andre was in the field, and I was trying to drop a bomb on top of him from the sky.
Yeah, but personally, they should have included arenas. Like, I could have imagined like playing this on like the block battle stage from the Wii one.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's kind of how I feel. I think Mario Kart 8 probably wrapped up development a little sooner than planned, and I think that usually they would probably work on battle mode towards the end, and so they didn't really have the time to do that. And so they put this together instead for the time being. And I really do believe Nintendo will release downloadable content that will give us actual, completely original battle maps.
Yeah, and I think that would be a really good thing, especially because I think they have a strong base there. Maybe an option to turn off ghosts. But as I mentioned before, like this is the closest we've been to the classic battle mode style from like Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64, even Double Dash, and that's why I like it so much, because I didn't play 7 and Wii at all. Once I realized I didn't like how they played. So for me, like battle mode's been a complete non-factor for a long time. And the fact that they did something here that somewhat resembles it before, I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but the fact that it resembles how I used to like it, did appeal to me.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely not amazing. You're not gonna hear me argue it's amazing.
Yeah,
I feel like with
it's just kind of there.
with a few changes, it could be better.
Yeah, absolutely. So they released a Nabbit pack with DLC, battle mode courses. I'm all for it.
Funky Stadium from the Wii would make an incredible battle map for Mario Kart 8. Because they could add in the glider elements, they could add in anti-gravity up the ramps. It would be pretty great.
Yeah, totally.
That one seems like it's such a perfect fit for Mario Kart 8's gameplay.
Well, and that's really the biggest shame about this. You're right. Like, with having anti-gravity, there was so much they could do with having, not just, retro track designs, but new ones, Yeah. Like, they could do so much with it. And, yeah, it's a bummer that they didn't. And, hopefully they will, so...
Yep. I believe they will. I believe in Nintendo. I think they're just waiting to release the DLC.
I feel like DLC in some form is a must, and it'd be a shame that battle modes weren't as part of that.
You know what's funny, actually, and this just might be me being paranoid, but I noticed that when you pick the cup for Grand Prix or Versus, there's clearly enough room on the left and the right side for 4 more cups in that selection, if you look.
Oh yeah, there totally is. I think people were pointing out that originally, because people were a lot of people were in denial about the content in this game. More so with the character roster, especially.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were hoping for more. I mean, I think the amount of content in the game we get, maybe battle mode thing aside, is totally fair. Like, it's just right on line with past games. Although, actually, now that we're talking about this, I do know, I think, Josh, you have some higher expectations, though, for single-player content. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the fact that Mario Kart DS, which is a pretty antiquated game by today's standards, that has more content for a single-player experience than this new, modern, high-tech Wii U game.
Right.
I really would love for there to be a mission mode as downloadable content. They did that kind of in the Wii game, but it was sort of because they only spoon-fed you one new tournament every 2 weeks, which is...
Well, weren't there just 15 tournaments and then they repeated all over?
Yeah, so it was only a year's worth of tournaments, and some of them were not that interesting to even want to play.
Right.
So I hope they don't do that with Mario Kart 8, because it's hard to think, every 2 weeks I've got to go back into Mario Kart and make sure I play that tournament.
Right.
So it'd be nice to just have a mode that's hey, 100 new Mario Kart 8 challenges for $10 or something. I think that would be really cool.
What I think would have been awesome, and this is going outside the realm of what Mario Kart 8 is, but Diddy Kong Racing was one of my favorite 64 games. I love that game. And I especially love the adventure mode the game had, where it basically did what Mario 64 did for platformers, for racing games. You had a small hub you could explore, and that's where you went to each racetrack.
Right.
And as part of that, they had they had boss battles, as you just mentioned, with a Mario, similar to Mario Kart DS, I guess. So what would have been awesome, I think, now that they did the Koopalings here, I want an overworld where you actually drive and you fight these Koopalings on their on these castle tracks. And then that's how you unlock them, right? And then I don't know. I feel like there's so much more they could have done in that sense.
Yeah, it's very it does. I mean, I love Mario Kart 8. Don't get me wrong. I think this is a really good game.
We're kind of exploring.
Right, we're just kind of making theories here. I do think that Mario Kart does continue to follow a certain template still, to where they'll have that new, I want to say gimmick, but not gimmick in a bad way. Like, they'll have that new idea, and then they'll take a lot of stuff from the past, and then they'll have the typical modes, and then that's the experience.
Right.
So I just kind of wish that one day they're going to be like, no, you know what? Yeah, let's have an overworld and all these, like a story mode or something. Like F-Zero GX.
Yeah.
F-Zero GX is another good example of what you can do with a one-player racing game.
Yeah.
Like they had cutscenes and it told a little story, and it was pretty cool.
There's even another example on Wii. I played a lot at launch. I played a lot of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform. That had a whole like mission mode with all kinds of missions where you could unlock characters and such. It was really good.
Oh, I'm actually glad you brought that up, Dan, because I think I don't know if you said it in your review, but I know you were telling me that you actually think Sonic Racing Transformed is a better game than Mario Kart 8, right?
In some ways, yes and no. I mean, if you talk from like a more overall package with more like side content, I actually think that in some regards, Sonic and All-Stars Racing does some more interesting things. It makes its own path instead of being just like Mario Kart.
Right.
It creates its own paths, which they involved from the first game, which was on Wii, and I think that the Wii U one stellars under the best racing games on the platform right now. As far as the track design go, I like a lot of the tracks, but the ones in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed play with more balls, like the driving, the going over water, and the flying, and that's a lot more to tackle. So in that sense, I found the tracks in Mario Kart 8 a bit more streamlined. But if you look at overall and like from a broader perspective, there is some words to say about how Sonic does some things more interesting.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I didn't play enough of that game to say one way or the other.
Yeah, same here.
But I guess this is maybe a good chance or a good time to look to the future and see what we'd want to see.
Well, we should still talk about the GamePad.
Oh, okay, good point, Dan. All right, let's go with that actually. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Dan?
Here's the thing. Actually, it's a perfect segue because I kind of want to go back to Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed and how that kind of translates to Mario Kart 8 for me. In Sonic Racing Transformed, you had first-party games that used the gamepad, like you could be II and roll about in a monkey ball and then smash other racers, which is hilarious. You could play off TV. You could play up to 5 people with one person on the gamepad, the other 4 on the television. And even the simplest and the last thing that I just named, Mario Kart 8 doesn't even do that. It doesn't do the multiplayer stuff on the gamepad, where one person, for example, can be on the television and the other one solely on the gamepad. You both have to share the same old split screen, which is vertical, which you can say either way you like it or you don't. I like more horizontal games, so fair enough. The thing with it is that when I touch the gamepad, it just copies the same split screen on that gamepad. It's like, that's super disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, again, Double Dash is my favorite Mario Kart, and I feel like there was so much potential they could have used a gamepad for with those mechanics, and what it is, it just made a standard Mario Kart game that didn't use the gamepad at all, except for, so the annoying thing is, by default, it displays a giant horn, which does nothing. It literally does nothing except for make a horn noise, which you can do without even having the gamepad. You can just press a button, and then if you want to switch to the map, you actually have to tap a touchscreen or button on the touchscreen, which is kind of hard to do mid-race. And even the map, it worked well on the 3DS because the screens are so close together. Here, every time I look at the map, I end up screwing something up during the race.
Well, I don't even have the gamepad next to me, so it's like for me to touch the map, I have to stand up before the race starts. And it's a real big thing.
For me, it could have been easily implemented back on the television, and there's no reason why the gamepad should have been better used, and why the map could have been displayed on the TV. That in some ways doesn't really make any sense.
Well, that kind of gets back to the whole battle mode thing too, as I mentioned, how it's not fair to the other players. With one player having access to the map and the rest of them don't. Why not just put that map on the screen? And I guess we can use this as a launching off point for what would you want to see in Mario Kart 9. What do you think they could do better? Are there any crazy new features that you'd like to see in a sequel to this game? What do you expect from the next Mario Kart?
The next Mario Kart, that feels like still ways off.
It does.
So
I'll be dead by then.
So
Wow.
I don't know. I feel that most of the retro tracks have been done at this point. Like there are just very few left.
They are
to make.
Yeah, they are starting to run out of like good retro tracks to use.
And actually, I wouldn't mind if they just went back to the ones that are really good. You just need to focus on the tracks that make the game fit the most, and no longer the tracks that are still left in the pile.
Well, that brings up an interesting point because in the next Mario Kart, I'm presuming that they have to bring in Mario Kart 8 tracks as a retro tracks.
This is what I was just going to tell you. Yeah, this is what I was going to bring up. They're going to have to keep gravity in then as the element.
Exactly.
And they're going to have to keep in the gliding, and they'll probably have to keep in the underwater because a lot of Mario Kart 8 stages have that as well.
Right.
So they're building up this huge, massive list of things they'll have to do to where it's like eventually will they just say, okay, we're not going to do retro tracks anymore, or what are they going to do?
Yeah, I mean, because it'd be almost because like with the flying and the water, they want to get rid of them. I think that could be done for the most part. Anti-gravity totally like locks them into using it like guaranteed. Like you can't if you redesign those tracks for most of them not to have anti-gravity, they wouldn't be those tracks anymore.
Well, I was thinking like water park. You can't really drain that from the water.
Yeah, you're right.
And,
that's true.
Dolphin shoals. How are the dolphins going to live if you take out the water?
Won't anyone think of the dolphins?
They don't. They don't think of the dolphins.
But it's they put themselves indeed in a kind of tricky spot right now.
Yeah.
How about you, Josh? Yeah, what do you want to see from the next Mario Kart?
I think the next Mario... Well, see, one of the things that I remember hearing when Mario Kart 8 was first announced is that this game is being designed as like a grand culmination of Mario Kart's history. They wanted to take in elements, and that was very deliberate. So I really think the next Mario Kart needs to, and probably will, be kind of like a renaissance for Mario Kart in a way, to where they really will change up the way we look at it. And I would love to see, like you said, like it may be something like Diddy Kong Racing, to where you have this overworld that you can play around with, and maybe it's connected in some sort of social element, and something to where there are mission mode is brought back, and maybe battle mode is really pushed this time around, and it's this bigger mode than it's ever been. So yeah, I do feel like the next Mario Kart will change things up. They'll change up the template and the formula, and I think it will be the right time to do that.
The problem is this is Nintendo, and everything you say could not be very true because they usually stick to their guns when it is their most dedicated franchises. So for me, it feels like they're gonna continue this trend of structuring the Mario Kart always the way it is, but I hope indeed they do some things different. But it is really early to say because we don't know what the next system will be on which the next Mario Kart will be released.
Well, I mean, it'll be a handheld, almost guaranteed, I'd say.
I'm gonna predict. I'm gonna make a prediction right here on this discussion video.
Okay.
I'm gonna predict the next Mario Kart is on a handheld and a home console because Nintendo's next machine is going to be both in one. I know there are some people that would hate that, but I think in the long run it would be really cool because you'd have like the Mario Kart team would make their Mario Kart game. And then they wouldn't have to be like, okay, well, now we're going to make the handheld version.
Right.
Because it would be that one thing, and they could continue to update and maybe evolve it as the time went on. And then the Mario Kart team could work on other projects as well. Right. So you'd have that great Mario Kart, and then you'd have new games as well.
I don't see them merging their platforms to that level. I think there will be some level of, Nintendo's even spoken to this, and, in combining the handheld and hardware teams and the console teams. For future consoles. But
I think there's a reason to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason, but I don't think they'll merge their two platforms because right now if one platform fails, they have another one to keep them going, like they do right now with the 3DS. If they have a single platform and that thing fails, they're doomed.
But think about it though, would it fail if they had all of their teams diverting all their energy to one product? Imagine if every 3DS game was also on Wii U. It wouldn't be a failure right now.
I think it'd be more of a failure, and they wouldn't buy a Wii U even more so.
No, I'm saying if there was one system that was getting all of the stuff. Think of every game Nintendo releases. Right. Sometimes people are like, oh, this is for 3DS, I wish it were for Wii U. Well, it would be for the one system. Yeah. You're going to owe me lunch when this happens, Andre.
Mario Kart for quality of life.
Yeah, you're going to owe me lunch if this ends up being true. This is our deal.
Quality of life Mario Kart incoming, right?
Yeah, you're just going to sit in an actual cart.
There you go.
That sounds really expensive.
Yep, it does. So you're all over that, right, Josh?
Mario Kart in a real cart? Yeah. Especially with anti-gravity being a thing.
Well, this is actually a perfect segue for me, actually. But actually, at E3 2003, this is going way back, when they were showing Double Dash, you actually sat in these
I have video of that.
Yeah, you actually sat in these card-like things to play Double Dash. It was freaking awesome. You weren't there for that, right, though, Josh? Or
no, but I have video that somebody gave me.
It was awesome. Like, well, I mean, because it was Double Dash, but like the whole setup was kind of cool and ties in this whole thing.
And Charles was announcing it. He was
Charles Martinet, and he was saying some really inappropriate things, which is hilarious. The Charles Martinet, like, when he's not doing official like Mario voice work, is hilarious as Mario. Like, he's just hitting on the booth babes the entire time. Just really funny. But it's still, like, kind of, like, in that whimsical, like, you know, stereotypical Mario voice.
Yeah,
so it's kind of okay. But anyways, get back to Double Dash. Like, I mean, that's what I want to see with the next Mario Kart is, like, I feel like they've almost gone as far as they can with the core mechanics of, like, what this game is, it's refining of Mario Kart 7, which itself was a refining of previous games. And I feel like they've almost taken that to the limit, though I'm sure they'll find some new ways to switch it up if they have to. I think, you know, as I mentioned before, the GamePad would have been a brilliant thing for a Double Dash style mechanic, where the second player actually uses a GamePad to aim the weapons, you know, in like 360 degrees, for instance. Like, you actually aim your turtle shell by moving the GamePad around. You know, I just feel like there's so much opportunity there, and I feel like bringing in a Double Dash like co-op mechanic it would be just an awesome way of making the core racing feel fresh while allowing them to make use of everything they've introduced, like hang gliding, anti-gravity, and all that.
I'd like to see the gamepad used for video editing for Mario Kart TV. Like, they could make that really simple and anybody could understand it, because it would just be like touchscreen to like drag clips together or something. If people can use like Windows Movie Maker and whatever is available on Apple products, it would have been cool for more. I thought that would have been a good use for the gamepad, like to edit the Mario Kart TV stuff.
It's kind of shocking that they didn't use that at all in that capacity, because Mario Kart TV is kind of awesome. Like, it makes really neat looking videos, but I've had actually way more fun with actually just watching the replays, like myself, you know, fast forwarding, rewinding, and doing slow motion, than I have with actually the highlight reels themselves. Like, I haven't really shared any. I just have fun going through them, like with my friends after a race, and just doing the slow motion myself. And it's silly you can't use that to make your own highlight reel.
Like, there's a few examples of when I've had really close finishes because of an item or something like that, and I would love the opportunity to be like, okay, I touched the gamepad when the clip is playing, and that's when I want it to start, and when I let go of the gamepad touch, that's when I want the clip to stop. And then it's like, okay, this is one clip, and it saves it for me, and I can just keep doing that, and then I can take all my clips, put them together, and like edit a video that's like close finishes for Mario Kart 8 or something like that.
Right.
So you can't like clip videos together to make some sort of cool compilation. You have to do that like with an external product on your computer.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you don't even have camera control. Like, you can do slow motion, but you can't rotate the camera or move it at all.
And another thing is that you then have various styles to apply, like drifting, action, and then everything. Right. And I tried the different styles, and only in one of them, the blue shell that came before, like Josh's Piranha Plant, only once came up.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get what you want to see.
And that was a really cool moment, and that just doesn't pop up. And only when I watched like the full playthrough of it again, then I can do it. But that's not what I can upload.
Yeah, I had that same issue. I was just playing with a bunch of friends a few days ago, and I had to keep going to the full replay in order to get the scenes we wanted. Because the problem is, like, you know, all those things are set. You know, they're very much set in the game. And it won't ever, I don't want to say, you know, patch it. It won't ever, like, learn or expand, you know, what's a cool moment, you know? So ultimately, like, all these replays end up looking pretty similar. And if you were able to make your own, it'd be way, way cooler. Yeah,
they have an option in Mario Kart TV where you can look at people you don't even know. Like, you can look at random global replays. And I've watched a few of them, and it's like, you know, not really that exciting. It's just random. It's just like watching a video of Mario Kart. And like, the other thing that's kind of cool, though, is I've noticed that, like, for GameXplain, you know, me and Andre have tournaments set up for when the game launches. And you could go into a folder, since I'm, like, part of GameXplain's tournament.
A Wii folder?
A Wii folder? Where you can look at the folder of all the replays of the tournament. I think that's kind of cool.
That is neat,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing's weird. Like, they are doing some really cool things there. They're just not going far enough with it. Like, I mean, the slow motion is by far the best I've ever seen in a game. It is gorgeous. Like, how it's actually rendering these scenes at far higher than the actual frame rate of the game, in order for it to look awesome in slow motion. And it just looks so good. And how you have direct control over that, immediate control over the entire race. And it's just weird. Like, it's half baked. That's what it is. It's like half baked. And it's cool what they're doing here. It's better than any replay in the Mario Kart game before. They just could have done so much more with it. I'm really hoping they'll patch it to enable more options.
Yeah, GamePad controls like with a slider bar to quickly look through a full race instead of having to fast forward through it for like a minute.
Yep, I totally agree. Alright, well, do you guys have any final thoughts or any topics you wanted to bring up that we haven't mentioned yet at all about Mario Kart 8?
All I want to say is I dream of the day when Andre can beat me online. It'll be a magical time.
Oh man, you're awfully cocky there.
I might be lying.
Well, people will have to see in our upcoming head-to-head, right? Which will be going up.
There are some versus videos coming up.
Yeah, those will be going up on or sometime after the 30th, sometime after the game comes out. I don't think we know exactly when yet.
Yeah.
Now I need to make video against you two.
We need tournaments are going to be so much fun playing online with like everybody, and I think the tournaments are so much better than the communities in Mario Kart 7.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The tournaments are a really good feature because they allow you like full customization of basically like if you're setting up a versus race, you can do all of that plus I think even more. And you can set it up to be on a recurring schedule. I mean, it gives you all kinds of options. Yeah, which I think they'll actually matter now. Whereas in my perception, I don't know anyone that used them in Mario Kart 7.
The problem with Mario Kart 7's communities was it's a neat idea, but you had no way of really knowing when anybody would be playing in the community.
Right.
So now, in the tournaments for Mario Kart 8, you do have a way of knowing, because it literally tells you, every Saturday at 8 p.m. until 11 p.m.
Right.
Or, whenever you want to have it. But you'll know when people will be looking to play in that tournament, which is great.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is a really neat feature. Okay, well, I think that wraps up for our Mario Kart 8 discussion, so thanks for watching, guys. If you like this discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below. Post all kinds of things there. It's a good way to keep up to date with everything we post. And, of course, make sure to check out Josh Thomas's channel at TheBitBlock and Nintendaan's at Nintendaan1 on YouTube. And, of course, keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more Mario Kart 8 and other things gaming, too. Alright, thanks, guys. Bye.